Hello everyone. So in the previous session we have configured the proposition management and context dictionary, all that. So we'll continue the context dictionary later. So again, same procedure. Procedure is same. First you have to download the data model and you have to install the template, and the context dictionary will be configured that way. So just going forward, let us see where we have stopped in the proposition management. So if you remember, in the day after before session, we have seen configuring the business issue, business group, and also the propositions. So just we'll continue from there and let us take some sample scenario and create a strategy as well. So let us go there. So I'll just click on configure, decisions, proposition management. Okay, that is where we will configure this proposition management, right? So just come here, and here what we'll do is, so what I will do here, I'll just go to the group. Here I'll just add a new group, or let us keep existing group only. So just I click on credit cards, and on the right side you will be able to see the decision data. Open the credit cards. So you can see that there are some 4 propositions are there, OTB, which are already there in this application. So we have seen this till here, how to create the business issue, how to create the business group, how to add the propositions. You can add the propositions manually by clicking on the new button, or you can also import the propositions, right? You can either add it manually or you can also import the propositions. So now let us see the concept of custom form. So before we actually add the propositions, we need to take care of adding the characteristics of the propositions. So that means, see, we have business issue, we have under business issue we have business group, under business group you have propositions. So this propositions, which I told you, which can be an issue, it can be a offer, it can be discount, it can be service, whatever it is. So these propositions will have characteristics, right? For example, we have some propositions, something like credit cards. So these credit cards will have some characteristics, right? For example, what is the price? What is the monthly EMI? What is the monthly EMI? What is the annual interest? So like this, different properties will be there. So those things you call it as characteristics. For example, if you have the propositions as laptop, okay, my proposition name is Dell i7 laptop. This is my proposition that I want to promote. For this promotion, I'll have something like what is the color, what is the price, what is the warranty. Okay, so all these are the proposition attributes. We call them as proposition attributes. So in order to add attributes for a propositions, we can go to the form tab, and within the form tab you can add field and you can add the attributes. So since we have credit cards, let us add some characteristics which are related to credit cards. So let's call it as something like credit card price. I'm starting that. Yeah, so just you click on this and create it. So again, you can select rules set while creating. No need to create in artifacts. So I am selecting credit card price. Let's keep it as text only. Then, for example, we can add one more like something like annual, or let us say monthly EMI. Okay, something like this monthly EMI. Okay, so I'm just creating one more like monthly EMI, and let's say I create something else like, for example, yeah, let's keep this too. Okay, let's keep this too, and now you can just save it. Now, if you come back to the data tab where my propositions are present, so if you go to the data tab here, you will be able to see all the propositions. And if you open the proposition, so you can start adding the characteristics of the proposition here. You see this credit card price, monthly EMI, whatever we added, that will be coming here. Because you know, right, any proposition will have some data. Like I showed you, for example, if you take a laptop, what is the laptop color? What is the price of that? What is the warranty? Whether the laptop is applicable through EMI option is there or not. Okay, like this, different characteristics will be there for any promotion that you take, depending on the promotion. So all you need to do is come to the group, the decision data, go to the form and start adding the fields here. You will add the fields here. When you open the proposition, you will be getting the data here. So let us add some data. So let's go back to the data and we'll open one by one. Standard card, I'm going to give it as
Ravi, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
we have a standard card. If is credit card price and monthly EMI is visible. Now there is another option, reward card. There also we get these two options.
It's everywhere.
Okay, thanks.
Because this form is applicable to all the propositions that are there.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So I'm adding a monthly EMI like $2 something like that. Okay, save it. Okay, so then it is saved. Now rewards card. So ideally, before actually importing the propositions, you need to figure out what all properties they need, the business needs. That thing you should be creating it first. Okay, ideally you should remember this, and because again after importing, if you are creating new properties, you might need to again update all of them, right? Of course, you can actually manually automatically do this with Excel also. When you export, all these newly created properties will also come in the file. So you can send this to the business and say, for the particular promotion, what is the price, what is the EMI, please mention this also. You can ask them to enter the data. So if you just go to the right side, you see here I have credit card price and monthly EMI. Okay, so you can ask the business to populate this data as well, so that they will enter the data and send it to you, and automatically that will be updated in the decision data. Yes, it's giving EMI. So this is for the premier rewards card. I'm giving this data. The rewards plus card, I'm giving like $200. Here I'm giving like $10. Okay, it's just I'm giving some random values for all the propositions that are there. Okay, so again you can think based on the assignment I give you, you can create the properties in your application. I'll share the assignment to you. I haven't yet shared, but this is how you add the characteristics of the proposition. Now you will be getting some question like, when you add a field to the form tab, those fields will always be text input. Okay, they will always be text input. How do we add something like a drop down? How do we add something like a drop down? Checkbox, radio buttons, images. So see, because right now we have created two properties: credit card price, monthly EMI. But always things might not be that easy. Sometimes, for example, you have a requirement that this credit card should be applicable for few cities, Bangalore, Chennai, like that. That time you need to use some multi-select, something like that. So this generated form will no longer be useful. Okay, so this is called generated form, and in order to add advanced controls to the decision data, what you have to do is use custom form. Okay, so just click on use custom form now and click on submit. Whenever I click on use custom form, there is an OOTP section that is called PY edit element. That section circumstance will be applicable for the decision data. So you see now everything is there here. Now go to the form tab and select customize form. So whenever I select customize form, what happens is the OOTP section PY edit element will be circumstanced by the business group equal to credit cards. Okay, circumstance value equal to credit cards, and it will create a section for you where you can add the fields. So now what we will do is we will just convert to the full section editor and submit it. So again, this circumstance value will be the name of your business group. So that's what it will be. Okay, so you can ignore this number. This is random number. Without that also it is fine, but automatically this circumstance will be created. And now you have the section. So when you have the section, you can actually add whatever the fields that you want to add, you can add it here. So let us quickly add some fields. What I will just add a something like a drop down. So what we will do, something like yeah. So let us create the property as something like applicable occupation. Okay, that means this credit card is given only to the people whose occupation is something like a business, salaried, etc. So again, you can use the same thing, like you can use a data page, all these things you can use, but I'm using local list. So I'll give some options like salaried, business, self-employed. Okay, like this, I'm giving some 3 options here, applicable occupation, and select occupation that applies to this credit card, something like that. Okay. Now, as defined on property, and submit. Now you can see that this drop down is also coming, and of course, let us say I add a checkbox. Now this checkbox, let's call it. So let us call it something like. Let's say we call this as applicable customer type. Okay, I'm just calling this as applicable customer type. So let us create some checkbox here. What I will say is, yeah, again, I need to make it as a true false property because it's a checkbox. Let us create again. Okay, so I'll create this as a true false property, as a Boolean property, where the customer can select the true or false value. Okay, so let us say I call this something like is this credit card applied for something like retired customers. Okay, like this I'm just taking and perfect. Yeah, so again, I'll just leave this for you. Like you can keep whatever you want to keep, you can keep it. Text inputs, radio buttons, checkboxes, images, autocomplete, multi-select, anything, whichever comes to your mind, you can practice this. For now, I'm just keeping this 4. Now let us check in this. So used custom controls. So now, instead of using generated form, the generated form is what you have here. Instead of using generated form, we are using custom form. In the custom form, which is called py edit element, the section for all the groups that are using custom form will be same, which will be py edit element only. The sections are just circumstanced by the group name, that's it. But all the sections name will be same thing, which will be called py edit element, where you can add custom controls to the decision data. Now if you go back, let's save this also. Okay, now I have saved it. Some error we are getting here, some warning. Let's just ignore this warning. So now if you open this proposition, you see here I'm getting all the custom controls that we are expecting in the proposition data. So because this is an expectation, because the propositions will have some characteristics, right? So those are this expected characteristics that we have. Yeah, so let us quickly select some values for them. Starting with standard card, I select the business, this applicable for retail customer save. So then I select the second one, rewards card. I select salaried, I select this applicable for retired. So again, while practicing, you can keep some valid data with valid options. So here, let us say select self-employed and I say without not applicable. For premier rewards card, I select salaried. Is this applicable for retired customers? Yes, and I save. Okay, so this is how we configure the proposition data. So this is also called as proposition data. Okay, it's also called as proposition data, which means it contains this list of propositions, which are our promotions. So in order to add the characteristics for the promotions, like what is the price, what is the EMI, what is the income, what is the warranty, to which type of customers this proposition is applicable, all these are the characteristics of my propositions. Those attributes you will be adding it in the form fields, and if you want to create custom form, you can click on the custom form and you can do that. So now I'll just check in. So just say like added proposition characteristics. Just say added proposition characteristics. Okay, clear till here? Any questions? So no questions, or is it understood for everyone? What we did? Okay. So now my proposition data is loaded with all the characteristics, like what is this card EMI, what is this price, what is the applicable customers, everything it is loaded with it. Now let us start creating some sample strategy, and we will start understanding some basic strategy components. Okay, we'll understand some basic strategy components. So what I will do, we can create the strategy from two places. Either you can go to intelligence strategies, or you can also go to the Dev Studio. Within the Dev Studio, under decision category, you can create the strategies. Whichever is comfortable, you can create it there. No worries. Okay, but again, if you are using personal edition, you can create it from Dev Studio. So now go to intelligence strategies. Like I told you, yeah.
Ravi, one question. Yesterday that issue has been resolved, the context started.
No. I just told that we'll see that later or tomorrow.
Okay.
But again, procedure is same. Better you can just test it in 8.6. If you are already having 8.6, just test it in 8.6. It is working there. For 8.7, looks like some changes happened. I need to figure it out. Probably we will see in 8.6 tomorrow or after tomorrow how to save it.
Okay.
Again, same thing. First you have to install the data model, then you have to install the MPAD template, then save the context dictionary. That's it. Yeah, some other question.
Yeah, there's one question that regarding the manual steps. You said that you will share that thing. If you can do it, will be good.
Let us add it here. I'll just show you. You can. I'm saving all the notepads.
And Ravi, you said some context or dictionary automation also you will show it to us, right? When that can be.
Which one?
Some context data dictionary automations from automated.
That's what we saw yesterday. That is the automation only.
Oh, that.
Yeah, that importing the data model, template, saving that is the automation thing. Okay. Classes, properties, everything is created right automatically with the result. You don't. That's what is automation.
Okay.
So that's fine, right? That's fine. Yeah. So for context dictionary, if you want to try manually, let us see what you have to do. You create one data type like called customers, and then you start adding the fields. Major important fields are the first name, last name, full name, mobile number, email address. Okay, these are the important fields. Of course, you can add other fields like age, income. Okay, like you can add all these things. But major fields are this one. You add them in the data type. When you create it as a data type, all these columns will be exposed columns. Then you just go to the context dictionary and you click on add context. Okay, then enter your class name. So here you might need to have a primary key. So what you do, you create one more property also, something like customer ID, and you keep that as a primary key while creating the table. I believe that all of you already know how to create a data type. So I am not specifying how to do that all that, because it's a basic thing that you do in your core PEGA. So you create a data type and create configure source and create a table. While creating the table, you make this as a primary key, customer ID as a primary key. Then after you do all this, go to the context dictionary, add the context, enter your class name, and specify, enter your class name, save it, then make it as primary. Okay, make it as primary. Then it will ask for full name, mobile number, all these things. Then specify the mobile number properties and mobile number etc. properties in that. That's it. Then click on save. Then you will get a pop-up. You select override all the rules. That's it. Okay. So then it will work. So just try this one. Otherwise, we'll anyway see that tomorrow. But this is how you can try it today. Just follow the steps manually. Whoever is practicing to do manually, you can just do all the steps. Okay. Now getting to the strategy. So I go to create. I click on start with new canvas. That is how I need to do. So here what you have to do is you have to create strategies on customer class. Okay, what is your targeted audience? You need to create the strategy in the targeted audience class. In my application, okay, so in my application, the customer class is what? The customer class is Ubank data dash customer. That is my customer class. So I am creating the strategy on customer class. So now let us call this strategy name as basic component strategy. Basic components strategy. Something like this. Okay. Okay. So now I am creating this under my customer class. That means to which audience you want to promote, that audience class you need to create it here. Okay. Now I'll tell you this one. So what is the purpose of this? Based on the selection of business issue and business group, your strategy results class will be defined. Okay. For example, what does it mean is, let us say while creating the strategy, you selected grow credit cards. It means your strategy result class will be the application ID dash issue, that the issue is grow dash credit cards dash this is the ID, application ID dash SR dash grow dash credit cards. So like this it will be created. That means you are restricting your strategy to take the propositions only from this issue and this group. Okay, that is what you do when you select this particular issue and particular group. You are restricting the strategy to take the propositions only from this particular issue and this particular group. So for example, I don't select anything as strategy result class. That means there is no restriction. The strategy can take the propositions from all the issues and all the groups. For example, I clicked on create and open. So this is called as strategy canvas. So this is called as strategy canvas, where you will add the components. This is called the select mode. This is called as pan mode. By using the select mode, you can select the components. By using the pan mode, you can drag the strategy up or down on left or right like this. Whenever your strategy is out of screen, you can drag it and you can configure it. Okay, by using the pan mode. By default, there will be one component which is called results. Whatever the output will be there, the output will be coming into results. Okay, so now let us add some components. The basic component that we have is import proposition data. By using import proposition data, you can import the propositions whatever you created. Okay, So whatever the proposition that you created, you can import that to the strategy. So in order to add the components to the strategy, there are two ways. Either you can click on this and import proposition data. You can add the components here. Okay, you can just come here, select the component and add it here. Second way is to right click and you can import like this also you can do. So whichever is comfortable, you can use that way. Either you can select this option or you can also right click and add the components. So now in my proposition data, when I double click on that, we can see that the business issue is allowing me to select from any issue, and I can select from any group that is present under that issue. There is no specific restriction that I have to take the offers only from that issue and that group. I can select from multiple issues and multiple groups. But let's say while creating the strategy, I am restricting my strategy result to grow credit cards. That means my strategy results class will contain propositions only from grow credit cards. So that's what it means. So if you are defining a strategy specifically for this issue and this group promotions, then you select that issue and group while creating. But if your strategy is created for other issues and other groups, then you don't select anything. You see now these two are disabled, right? These two are disabled now. Okay, we cannot select or we cannot modify this option. That means this strategy is specific to this issue and this group. So that is what that particular option will do. Strategy result. Sometimes
So
you
Ravi,
need to, yeah.
you have created the strategy rule with the same rule name and within the same class. The ID.
That's not saved yet. Okay, that we haven't yet saved. We just created, but we did not click on the save button.
Okay.
Okay, so you see this is created, it is already saved. But now I just discard this, and this is not yet saved. Okay.
Okay.
So I close this, it is not yet created. Yeah. So now it's created, this one is created. So I just open this, and I hope that you got the strategy result concept. So right now I am restricting my strategy result to grow credit cards. That means I can take the propositions only from this particular group. I cannot select from other issues and other groups, because while creating the strategy itself, I selected grow and credit cards. Okay, so now I just submit this. Now the strategy execution happens from left to right. So what you have to do is you have to connect the component with another component. Okay, you have to connect one component with another component. So this is how you configure the strategy on the strategy canvas. This you call it as strategy components. Okay, you call it as a component. You can use the mini map like we have in the process flow in order to zoom in or zoom out. To zoom in, you can minimize this and you can do that. If you want to zoom out, you can maximize this and you can zoom out. This is also there in process flow, so it's not a new concept for you. So just you can select it like this. Okay, that's what you're doing. Now, to run the strategy, what we have to do is we have to use this toggle side panel option. The strategy can be executed by using the toggle side panel. Click on this arrow mark, and there are two ways to run the strategy. One way is to run the strategy with single case. Single case means single customer. Okay, a case in strategy or in PEGA decisioning case means customer. I run with single case, it means you run with single customers. I select batch, it means run this with multiple customers. Okay, so single case means run with a single customer, batch means run with multiple customers. Okay, case means customer here, so just remember in PEGA decisioning we call it as customer. Now let us run that sample thing. So what I do, I just click here. So we'll see the batch execution in coming sessions. I select single case and I click on the save and run. It is going to run this strategy with a single customer, and you see that I got all the 4 propositions as the output. Okay, I got all the 4 propositions as the output. Because we know already, right, in this particular group, there are 4 propositions are there. So all the 4 are coming in the output. The premier rewards card, rewards plus card, rewards card, and standard card. So that is how the proposition will give you the output here. Here. Questions?
So can we trace this, Ravi?
Cannot trace the strategy. So the best part is we don't need to trace a strategy, because the strategy output will always be very transparent. Okay, it will always be very transparent. You can see the so you see this the standard card, and we have the results here. The strategy will show you the output of the component within the shape itself. Okay, that means, for example, what output you are getting from this component, it will show you while executing. So that way you will be able to trace and see what data is getting passed and where can be the issue. For example, you are expecting the output as rewards card, but we got the output as standard card. So when you are running the strategy, you will be able to see which component, what output is coming on the top of the component name. Okay, on the top of the component name itself, you can see what is the output of that. But you cannot see this strategy components results in the tracer. Okay, we cannot see that. Only thing we can see is we will see some lines like strategy start, strategy end, like that it will come in the tracer, but not the individual component output will not come in the tracer. So how do we trace it is using this above the value is coming, right? It will show you what output came from this component. So that way, for example, if you are having 10 components, in which particular component the wrong output is coming, you can directly see by seeing the output that is coming from that component. Okay, so output for this component is standard card here, and here also the output is standard card. Like that only we have to trace and see which component the issue is there. Now when you run the strategy, the output is having the properties that we created. For example, the credit card price, the monthly EMI. But we have created more properties like applicable occupation, applicable customer type. But that properties are not coming in the output. So what could be the reason, do you think? Or you want to guess? Because only these 2 properties are there, credit card price and monthly EMI. But the applicable occupation, applicable customer type, that is not coming in the output. So what do you think can be the reason the strategy is not giving that output? So you can guess it. No worries.
I think in the decision data rule under form tab, we need to add the fields
Yes,
attributes.
yes, correct. So we have to add the form tab because we created the properties in the custom form, but we have not added those properties in the form tab. So any properties that you want to use in the strategy or anywhere else, all those properties should be added in the form tab also. Here also you have to add them. Whatever the properties you created in the custom form. Okay, so like we created some properties, right? In the section, those properties should be added here. So let us add field. So the properties are, I think, applicable occupation. Second one is applicable customer type. Okay, so just I'm adding this to. Now let us save and check in. So this is generated form and this is custom form. Okay, so let us check in. I say added properties to generated form. So now we will run it again. Let us go to the strategy and let us click on the save and run button. So if you see now, and if you see the data, you got the credit card price, you got the where is that thing? Yeah, you see this one, applicable customer type and applicable occupation. So this data is also now coming in the output. Previously this data did not come and now it is coming in the output. That means you have to add the properties that you created in the section into the form tab, into the generated form. Then only you can use it wherever you want. Without adding, you cannot use it. Okay, so for all the propositions, the data will now come. Now let us see a simple strategy component. So what we will do, I'll just add a filter component. What does the filter do is, the filter component is used to filter the incoming results and filter the results based on certain condition. Okay, so just double click on that, and what I will do, I'll just say when dot applicable occupation, let us say, or else a dot applicable or dot applicable occupation is equal to salary. So, and I'll give the filter name as filter by salaried customers. Okay, that means I want to see the credit cards which are applicable only to salaried customers. Or you can say like filtered by offers applicable to salaried customers. Okay, so it's filtered by offers applicable to salaried customers, and now you can run the strategy once again. Okay, we are just filtering based on certain condition. Now let's save and run. So if you see now, there are only two propositions which are coming in the output. And if like I told you, how do you debug? In order to debug the strategy, first thing, you can see the output of that component on the top of that. And when you click on the component, you can see the difference in the results. So here I have 4. When I click here, there are 2. Okay, here I have 4 in the first component, and in the second component, I have only 2. So if you are expecting some other result, then you will come to know, okay, this component is the issue, because I am expecting 3 results, but I have only 2. So then you can open the component and you can see the configuration. So that is how you need to debug, and that is how you need to trace. Okay, so one thing is to check the output of the component on the top of that. Second thing is to click on each and every component and you see where is the difference. You can see the difference in the number of results, and also you can see the difference in the strategy results output. For example, here it is true, and after going to the second component, it became false. Then you will come to know that this is where the culprit is. Then you can open and see why it is set to false. Like this, you have to check component by component and see where the invalid output is coming. Okay, that is how you do the tracing here. So now here I have 4 results. Here I have 2 results. That means it has filtered my propositions with available occupation equal to salary. That is premier rewards card is there. Second one is rewards card. You can see that both of them are having applicable occupation equal to salary. That's what we kept here also, applicable occupation equal to salary. So sometimes you might need to write some complex logic where it is a good practice to use annotations. The annotations will help you to make other people understand what you are doing. So just click on that and add it here. This is just like a comments for the logic that you do. Whatever the logic that you do, this is just like a comments for that. So in data transform, in activity, you write the descriptions and the comment action, right? So this is similar to that, not an impact to any functionality, just information on what you are doing. It is good practice to always add annotations. So for example, I can just say the strategy filters offers by customers, by salaried customers, offers applicable to only salaried. So like this, you can just keep some annotation as a good practice within the strategy. Wherever you want to keep, you can add it. Okay. Wherever you want to it, you can add it there. Okay. So these are the components that you can learn and practice using this here. And first thing is the proposition data. Second, filter component. So when you open this filter component, you have the source components here. The source component is nothing but the incoming components for this particular component. So for this component, the incoming component is what? Proposition data. That is called as a source component. Okay, so that is called as a source component. So one more thing is directly the strategy component will take the context of strategy results. That means, for example, if you see here, when I click on dot, it is taking the context of CDH-SR-grow-credit card because the component will take the context of the previous component. Okay, the component will take the context of the previous component. The previous component context is strategy results. That is the reason this component is also taking the context of strategy results. Okay, in the strategy, you can use the properties, either strategy result properties. While creating the strategy, I restricted the strategy result to grow and credit card. That's the reason I can select only from this, or I can select from the parent of this. I told you this right before, like it will follow the same class inheritance, pattern inheritance. Whatever the parent is there, from that also you can use. Or you can use the properties from the applies to class by saying primary dot. It will take from the applies to class properties. Okay, so like this, you can use the properties either from strategy result or from applies to class. That's it. So from other properties, we cannot use it. There is a different way how to use it. Okay, so these are the components that you can learn today, and we'll see more components in the tomorrow session. Okay, any questions on this?
Can we call another strategy from this strategy?
I will see that components later.
Okay.
We can do that. We'll see that. Tomorrow we'll see that. Any other questions are clear for everyone?
Yeah,
Just
Ravi,
yeah.
yeah, in the filter, so is that a expression builder? Like, can we add multiple filters over there?
You can add functions, you can add expressions, you can
All right.
add same like what you add in the PEGA, right? Same thing. You can add and the conditions or conditions, everything is expression builder.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, one more thing, you can also add a custom description. That means instead of this, you want some description in the box down. You can add that also. For example, I'll add something like salary to customers, and then submit. It will just add some custom description to the strategy result. That's not that important. Okay, just you can ignore that. Yeah. So these are the components that you can just practice it and let me know any other questions. And we'll see more components in the tomorrow session. But please practice whatever we discussed today. How do we create custom attributes? How do we create a generated form? How do we use the attributes in the strategy? And do some logic based on the attributes data. All these things you can practice. All right, see you tomorrow and we'll see more components.